Okay, we're nearly ready to start milling. I've had to resort to using an 8mm slot drill or slot mill because the 6mm was going to be questionable as to whether it would have given a wide enough channel in the aluminium. So I think what's going to have to happen is that I use the 8mm. It'll be too wide, but it won't matter. It's the outside edge which is important. Now the end of this mill is not quite, the outside of this mill is not quite at the right position. Now in order to do this and get the milling cutter to be on that line, I'm going to do it by sight. So the table X is in a little bit, and I'll keep the travel reasonably tight, but not so tight as that I can't move the table to right on that line. Once I get it there, I'll probably tighten the table up and then start rotating the disc. We should get a nice cut. Now it's important to realise that as you're going round in a circle, depending on how far you have your milling cutter exposed from the bottom of here, your collet holder, you don't want your collet holder to foul the bolt heads that you've got securing it to the rotary table. So really, I think I'm just about okay. You only need about 4mm depth, and the end mill seems to be a good 1/4 inch or more longer than the top of these bolt heads. So I suppose what we ought to do now is turn everything on and get things going. So safety goggles on, raise that up a little bit, better find my 1/4 inch table feed adjustment. Yep, so I'll just put that on reasonably tight at the moment. Right, the machine's on. Right, better get it going. Probably have to adjust the speed, it's probably a bit too high at the moment. Seems to be about the right kind of speed. Very gently feed it down. And that movement, I think, was the play in the rotary table. We're not quite near the line yet. So I'm going to feed in. I'll try again. Not quite. Closer. A little bit more. Very close. Not perfect. Should be there now. Yeah. That's absolutely perfect now. So we'll tighten the table. Takes a bit. It's a bit of a strange place to put it. Okay, I think she's ready. Just going to go to a certain depth first time round. Right. Let's get on with it. I think I'm going to have to do something about the play in the rotary table. It's doing its job, but see how the collet head misses the bolts. Wouldn't be very good if it hit. I have to admit, this is the very first time I've ever used the rotary table to mill in an arc. I'm quite impressed. It's funny how all the aluminium chips look like skaters on an ice rink going around in the same circle. Not quite what made me think of that, but coming up to nearly about halfway now. Take that up a minute. Well, that's the very first time I've tried anything like that. I'm just going to brush some of the chips away. It's not as deep as it needs to be just yet. And it's probably it's not quite as neat as I would have hoped it to have been, because the play in the rotary table is a little bit suspect. I think there's some the worm gear and things might not be totally as engaged as it should be, but it seems to have followed the line quite nicely. I'm going to have to take some measurements, I think, be sure. If it's not totally the right radius, it's maybe slightly inside, then we'll have to move the X table a little bit more until we get something which resembles the correct diameter. So I better do a quick check. Well, I made a measurement and it might be out by a tiny amount. Ooh, can't focus. So I've dialed it in about 4 thou on the X table and tightened it again. Now that means that the diameter is going to be 8 thousandths of an inch larger, which is just under 1/4 of a mil in my mind, and I don't really think it has to be that much out, but we're going to give it another try anyway. I'm just going to place the milling cutter down and see how far out it goes in there, and if it's too much I'll have to put it back a little bit, but just have to find my safety glasses. Right, let's give things another go. Probably fine now. think that's exactly where it should be now. Not really doing any great depth at the moment, I'm just checking that the diameter's fine. Because I have the sectors attached to the rotary table, sometimes if I don't pull the sector handle out far enough, it catches on the sector arms and it can be quite troublesome. I'm going to go into a greater depth now. See how much it wobbles. About half the depth now. I'm giving it quite a bit more to do. Could be too much. Seems to be managing. Halfway on that depth. Coming up to completing that radius, well, that depth. Certainly don't want to be changing the radius. Oh, I've got quite a nice channel in there. It's smooth as anything on that bottom of that channel. I'm quite pleased at that. So now we'll go to the final depth now. It's only about 2mm. Okay, we're not going to be cutting any deeper than this now. Now if we go round. Hope my battery lasts on the camcorder. quite tiring to turn this. A lot of vibration. Oops. Just coming into shot now. And she's done. Well, she's done. She looks plenty deep enough. So double check that before I undo it, as you might understand the chances of getting this back in here at the same place are virtually zero. So I think I ought to double check that depth. I'll have to do it off camera because it's zoomed in a little bit. Oh, yeah, it is actually. And we are at a depth of about 4.5mm, which is perfect. So I think the Spigot's about 4mm depth, so it won't hurt to be slightly over that. Better double check. Yeah, I think we'll be pretty okay with that. Now, once again, I think I'll check my diameter has behaved itself. Put that inside there. It's not the perfect way of doing it, but I only have a 6-inch caliper. It looks absolutely perfect. Got to be so sure. So I take it out and it doesn't fit. It's a bit of a waste of time, everything that I've done so far. Apart from making the teeth nuts, I quite enjoy doing that. I do have some videos in that actually. So looks like it's okay. I suppose what I ought to do is get the... Well, I can't actually test it, can I? Because I don't have a hole in the middle yet. Yes, without drilling a nice little hole in the centre of the plate, I am not going to be able to see if the... God, that's so tantalising. I've got to drill a silly old hole in the middle before I can see whether this has been okay or not. I'm pretty sure it will be. So, well, I'll have to undo this because the table underneath could probably do without a hole being drilled onto it, so I shall take it out, which really means if I make a cock up of this I can't do much about putting... Well, I've still got the hole in the centre which I can zero to again, but whereabouts that would be, I don't know. It would be difficult to match it up again. I think this has been fairly successful. I'm not too worried about the outcome. Seems to be okay. Just have to drill a big hole in the middle now. Looks like we're looking for some hole cutters. I'm sure I've got one somewhere.